All right, all right, all right. Good evening, everyone. All right, give me 1 second. We'll be getting started soon. All right, I think we are good to go now. All right. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Oh, let's go ahead and get started up on Instagram. Uh-oh. Good evening, everyone. Good evening. Good evening. Welcome in. Welcome in. Welcome in. Tonight, we're talking about how to turn a $20 book into a $500,000 per year business. So, definitely make sure that you have your pen and paper out for this one. I'm really excited about this. Um, So, welcome everyone. I wanted to make sure that I was able to get loaded up onto Instagram as well. But right now, we're streaming live on Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, and Instagram. So, welcome, welcome, welcome. And tonight's topic is all about how to turn a $20 book into a $500,000 per year business. I definitely believe in income increments. So for many people saying, hey, you can turn your $20 book into $1 million per year business, you absolutely can. But if you haven't reached your first six figures or your first $500,000 year and done it repeatedly, then it's not going to be beneficial for you to talk about $1 million business, because that's just different leadership and operations on a different level. So I'm really excited to talk about tonight's content. If you are new to me, my name is Jasmine Womack. I'm also known as the Jasmine Womack across all social media platforms, and I work with experts and leaders to become published and paid. And I help you to become published and paid by helping you to transform your $1 million message into a best-selling book, premium price courses, curriculum-based coaching programs, and signature talk. So becoming published and paid, yes, it's going to start with the book, but then it should be branching out into courses, curriculum-based coaching programs and consulting offers, signature talks, workshops, and more. And that's what I help my clients to do. So one of the things that you need to know about turning a $20 book into a $500,000 per year business is that when you want to build a successful and profitable business from your book, you cannot just write any kind of book. You cannot just write any kind of book. It cannot be a book based on your trauma story. It cannot be a book based on that's a memoir or something of that nature. In order to create an information based business, a multiple six and eventually seven figure information based business. This is a business where you sell information products, courses, coaching programs, consulting offers, signature talks, workshops, professional development trainings, and more. Those are all services and offers based off of your intellectual property. And so when you want to expand your business in that way, then your book has to be written in a certain way, and it usually needs to be based on something that you already have expertise in. So you have to actually write and self-publish, or write and publish what we call a thought leadership book. Yes, there are plenty types of books that you can publish. Journals, coloring books, all of the things, memoirs, those typically are not the types of books that are going to yield $500,000 or $1 million businesses. Publishing a thought leadership book is a key cornerstone to helping you to build your brand and further establishing your credibility and allowing you to monetize in both the online and the offline spaces. Now, thought leadership is a buzzword that a lot of people are using these days, but they don't really understand what thought leadership is. Thought leadership is that when thought leadership occurs when you are a leader and you are sharing your thoughts, you are sharing your methodologies, you are sharing your strategies. You're not looking around to everyone else and copy and pasting and regurgitating what other people are putting out. That's why when you are writing a thought leadership book, typically you already have some level of competence, you already have some level of expertise, maybe even traditional education, but definitely a proven skill set that you have that you've gotten results with it, whether it's been in your career or with clients, and you have a track record of results showing that you have proficiency and you have excuse me, a level of expertise on this topic. And here's the thing, when you are able to write a book based around your knowledge, based around your skill sets, based on the things that you know inside and out, you don't have imposter syndrome because you know what you know. Typically, people have imposter syndrome when it comes to their books and things of that nature because they're questioning whether or not they're good enough or whether or not they can actually stand out in the crowd. When you are already an expert and you have proven results on a topic and in an area, you already know what you know because you already have the results to prove it. So you're not second guessing yourself. You're not um you're not questioning whether or not people need it. You already know it. There's a level of competence and there's a level of confidence that you already have because you're bringing your level of education, you're bringing your experience, and you're bringing your skill sets to the table and packaging that in a book. Now, one of the biggest mistakes that experts who choose to write books to grow their brands tend to make that keeps them from creating, multiple six-figure businesses is that they tend to think too small when it comes to their writing. They think of their book as being in a silo, like, oh, I just want to write a book, instead of looking at their book as a part of their professional, or as a part of their professional package, or as an extension of the business that they already have. Now, when you want to turn your book, and I say $20 book because most books tend to be priced between 18 and $25. So I just kind of use $20 as just an average price. But when you want to actually turn your $20 book into a $500,000 business, there are some key things that you need to know and that you need to be able to do. And I'm about to share those right now. So the first thing is that you need to absolutely write a book based on your thought leadership and expertise. Okay? The Canva ebooks is not going to get it, guys. It's not. It's not if you want to do the type of work that I'm talking about, where you actually where you want to be profitable and where you want to capitalize in both the online spaces and the offline spaces. Offline meaning corporate, offline meaning schools, offline meaning that you're able to monetize without having to be on social media. One of the things that I help my clients do in the Author Made Easy Bootcamp and also in the Published and Paid Success Academy and Mastermind, they're able to monetize in both. And what I see with a lot of people in the online space they're either one or none. Either you're only trying to make money online, or some people are only making money on corporate. But if you can learn how to finesse both, then no matter what happens in the economy, no matter what kind of uh, health crisis hits the world, like what happened with the pandemic, you will always be able to monetize. But you have to write a book based on your thought leadership and expertise. This means that you are writing a book based on things that you have already done, writing a book based on results that you've already been getting. Not writing a book based on theory, or not writing a book based on your own personal circumstances and centered around your story. No, your book has to be a solution for someone else. Your book needs to solve a problem that someone else is seeking to solve. It needs to be a solution to someone who has a challenge. If you go into any type of bookstore and you look in the business books, you look in the, relationship section, you look in the personal growth and development, every single book is geared towards solving a problem. But for some reason, when we think about writing books, we think about making it super profound and putting our entire life story. Not when you want to leverage your book to get speaking engagements, you don't. Not when you want to leverage your book so that you can sell your book in bulk and leverage your book to bring in high ticket coaching clients. You have to approach it from a different angle and with a different perspective. So your book needs to be based on your own thought leadership and expertise. Number two is that you need to create a framework that you can center your book content around. Now, a framework is a step-by-step process that you have already been using to get results. And typically, it's a documented process. You might have a 3-part framework, a 4-part framework, 5-part framework. You might already have a framework in your business where in which you have documented, it's a documented process that you've already been using to get results or to help clients get results. If you have not documented your process in this manner, you need to take some time to really sit down and think about how you have been able to help clients get results and how you can package or how you can summarize the main steps into a systematic process that you can implement and follow and that others can implement and follow time and time and time again in order to get results. So, for example, my clients in the Author Made Easy Bootcamp, they follow the Ignite Your Influence 5-part framework in order to write books, build their brands, and then monetize their books. There are 5 core steps that I take them through. No matter what their book is about, no matter what their background is, when everyone implements these 5 core steps, they not only write their books, but they publish their books, they bring their books to market, and they monetize them, and they have brand recognition. So I want you to sit down and think about what your framework should be. And if you don't have a framework and you need to think deeper about this, then I definitely invite you to sign up for my free workshop that starts next week. It's the Write a Book That Grows Your Brand workshop. And in the workshop, I teach and explain step by step how to create and package your own framework that you can then use to write your book, create your coaching programs, create your signature speeches around, and more. Okay. Number 3, once you've created this framework, you need to leverage this framework to then create a curriculum based coaching program. Okay. A curriculum based high ticket coaching program. Now, I'm big on curriculum because I have a master's degree in curriculum and instruction, and I have a background in education. So I honestly don't know and don't understand how people create courses or coaching programs and it's not documented. Like, it has to be documented. And once you document the curriculum, you document the milestones, you have core milestones, you have core assignments that your clients should be working on when they're not working with you to actually work through the content and work through the processes and implement them. Like, you can't coach someone or consult someone off of the top of your head. That is not a reliable process, and that is also not a sellable process. You need to actually document your process. Document each and every step that someone has to go through and that they have to learn in order to get the end result. But your curriculum for your coaching program should be based on your framework as well. And when you are working in clients in these containers, because because you're helping them to obtain a clear-cut result using a method that you have perfected, that means that you are able to help them accelerate their results and collapse time. You're able to help them do in record time what they haven't been able to figure out on their own. And not only are you able to help them do it with one person, but you're able to do it over and over and over again with multiple people. And the key cornerstone to doing this, right, is to charge according to the value that you're providing. You have to look at the results, you have to look at the acceleration, you have to look at the access to you, and you need to charge accordingly. Now, if you are undercharging, then it's going to be difficult for you to get to your $500,000 mark. If you're writing a book and then that's about some random topic, and then you're trying to create an offer as an extension of that, and you're not effectively able to deliver it, you're not effectively able to articulate what you're trying to help your clients do, it's not going to happen. Okay? It's not going to happen. A lot of people, when they think about writing a book, they only think about the book. And I'm saying this because I've been consulting experts and leaders for almost a decade in this space. And several years ago, I don't have this issue anymore because I really had to go through some processes to really fine tune my messaging and to weed out certain types of people from even coming into my ecosystem. But about 4 or 5 years ago, I did encounter people where they would write their book and that's all they wanted to do. And I'm like, "Well, what about the marketing? What about the monetizing?" I don't really care about none of that. I've got the book. I'll just worry about all that later. And of course, they never did anything else with their book. And what I found over the years is that a lot of people have this very limited perspective when it comes to writing their book. They're only thinking about their book, but they're not thinking about how their book fits into the overall ecosystem of their business and how their book can actually drive their business forward and help them to monetize even more on the back end, whether that's through positioning them for additional opportunities, speaking engagements, contracts, licensing, and clients. So this is why your offer cannot stop with the book. It starts with the book. And then you should definitely have beyond the book offers. Okay? So once you've created your framework and now you're writing your book based on the framework, and then you create a high ticket coaching program based on the framework, you should leverage this same framework to develop a signature speech or some type of signature training and workshop. Okay. Why do I say this? Because if you want to sell books, if you want to continue to establish your authority, your expertise, and monetize, you are going to have to get used to speaking to many people at one time. Whether that is in a virtual setting like I'm doing now, where I'm streaming on Instagram, on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. And this recording will stay up for people who will also be able to come back and watch the replay, right? So, yes, you can speak virtually. You can speak you can speak to many people via podcast interviews where you are conducting an interview with someone or someone is interviewing you and their entire audience is coming back to listen. And when you have your funnel set up correctly, you should be able to monetize podcasts in which you've been featured as a person being interviewed. And of course, speaking in person, whether it's on in-person stages, not everyone likes to do keynotes, so workshops or professional development may be your jam. Either way, you should be speaking to groups of people at one time because this is going to further extend your brand and solidify your credibility. It's going to position you to sell more books. It's going to position you to sell books in bulk and get either consulting or coaching clients from the work that you're doing. So, yes, your framework that you create should be used to write your book, create your high ticket coaching program curriculum, and used to be should be used to develop and organize a signature speech. And so when you have all three of those, you then have what I call the triple threat because you're then writing, speaking, and coaching. You're speaking to people. Now you have something for them to read, which is going to further continue to nurture them and indoctrinate them into your methods and your methodologies. And because they've heard you speak or they read your book, or because they read your book and now they've heard you speak, now they either want to work with you or in some cases bring you back to do more extensive work in their school or in their organization for multiple 5 and 6 figure offers. I have a client who we helped her to package a $50,000 offer that she was previously charging $13,000 for a week's worth of work. 5 days. 5 days. So you think about it. How many $50,000 offers does she need to get? And how many $50,000 contracts does she need to secure before she hits $500,000 in sales? And let me tell you this. She got that before she actually sold 2 bulk orders of her books and secured a $50,000 consulting offer before her book came out. But it was based on her ability to articulate her value, to articulate how she was the solution to the problem, and to also articulate, she refined her offers and she was able to package it and sell it. So she was selling her book, her workshops, and her offers. She was actually doing all this and pre-selling her book before it even came out. And she had companies pre-ordering bulk orders of the book before it was even printed. So when I'm sharing this information, I'm not sharing this based off of theory. I'm sharing what I have done and what we are actually actively helping clients to do as well. And so when you want to write the type of book that's going to explode your brand, and you want to learn how to make sure that you have these elements and systems in place, I invite you to join us, to join me for the Write a Book That Grows Your Brand workshop that kicks off on January, July 15th. It kicks off on Monday. So you can register. It's totally free. You can register at www.jasminewomack.com/book and brand. It's totally free. Now, here's the thing, number 5, and let me do a recap because I'm not done yet. So, number 1 is to write a book based on your thought leadership and expertise. Number 2 is to create a framework that you can center your book content around. Number 3 is to leverage this same framework to create a curriculum-based program that you price at a high ticket. Number 4 is to leverage that framework to also develop a signature speech. Now, number 5, here's the key. The key is to not stop at your book. You must develop a suite of services to sell beyond your book. Now, I've been talking around this, but like really, let's talk about it. You must develop a suite of services as an extension of your book to sell beyond your book. Okay. Now, before you start out with multiple offers, you need to have one core offer called your signature offer or your core offer that you sell repeatedly and that you are able to articulate and communicate clearly, confidently, and consistently. You need to consistently sell one offer over and over and over and over again with your eyes closed before you start trying to create a whole bunch of different programs and things. Okay. But even creating your services to sell beyond your book, even that is multi-layered. And what I mean by that is that you can create the service or you can create the program, you can create the offer, but creating it is one thing, selling it is a totally different conversation. And what I've learned is that a lot of experts and leaders do not have a problem with creating because many of my clients already have a level of competence. They're used to developing programs, they're used to developing talks. They've already been doing it, whether professionally or in their business for 10, 20, 20 something odd years already. So creating the content or creating the offer typically isn't the issue. Where a lot of people get hung up at is selling what they've created. You have to build the skill of selling. And if you don't know, I'm not sure, like how much research you've done on me, but I'm a former language arts teacher. I was a language arts teacher for 12 years. I've been a full-time entrepreneur now since 2018, but this was not my first business. I come from a family of entrepreneurs. This was not my first full-time business. I had non-emergency transportation companies. I had, a retail line. I've done so many different things, right? But I've been doing this full time since 2018, but I started it in 2015. But even before I actually started this as a business, I did it professionally for 12 years. I was a language arts teacher. I was the writing coach at my school. I was the language arts department co-chair and then the chair at one point. I developed school-wide writing curriculums and all the things. I did stuff on the district level too. I had a level of expertise. When it comes to curriculum development, course creation, coaching program development, I've got a master's degree in curriculum and instruction. Yeah, I just use those transferable skills and brought it over to the online space. A lot of you all already have a level of experience and expertise, but you're sleeping on it. No, you have to count it all. So, although I had the skill sets, those skill sets, I still had to develop the skill set to market and sell. Those were skill sets that I had to learn because coming from a background in education, I didn't know anything about selling, I didn't know anything about marketing, but I committed to the process. I had to upskill. So, you have to do the same. Okay. You've got to learn how to sell them. You've got to learn how to create content. You've got to learn how to present an offer. You've got to learn how to overcome objections. You've got to learn how to implement different systems to weed out people who are not your ideal clients. You've got to learn how to identify somebody that is your ideal client and how to determine whether or not your ideal client is, changes or pivots over time. These are things that we have to consistently develop our skill sets in. Like even now, and having, made multiple millions in the online space, I'm always studying sales strategies. It's never a matter of, "Oh, I've got this perfected." No, you always have to be willing to learn and grow, improve, and do better. So in that, yes, you're gonna have to learn how to create content. You're going to learn how to present your offer. Some of us are stuck in antiquated ways, and we think that because we put a proposal together or because we put a little flyer together that has information about our program, that we're just going to give that to somebody and they're going to buy. No, no. Sales is a whole entire process. You can't just give someone a document and expect them to purchase. Especially if you might, if you don't have a background in sales, you might not even have the eye to be able to see that the document that you prepared or created isn't going to convert anything. Your fonts could be off, the messaging could be off, your placement of certain things, the flow of the document might actually repel buyers. Like there's so many different things to consider. And this is why, you know, coaching and mentorship is useful to help you refine these areas and improve in these areas that you might not have any traditional training in. You're going to have to also be courageous and be willing to put yourself out there and ask, conduct surveys. Like, when was the last time that you actually interviewed somebody that's an ideal client, right? To get their perspective on things. Like, one of the reasons why you might not be successful with sales is because you're trying to sell based on what you want and based on what you think people want to hear. No, you've got to talk to the people. You've got to use the language that they use. Like, case in point, I'll give y'all an example. Right now, I'm working on my doctorate in educational leadership and curriculum. Okay. With people always ask me, you already have a successful business. Why are you trying to go get a doctorate? Because it's always been a goal of mine. It's been a professional goal of mine. And I have no reason not to do it. Also, I want to go into corporate training. I want to go into the corporate and school spaces to train and do professional developments. And I know that I can command more with certain levels of credentials behind my name. Like, let's just call it what it is. So as I prepare to pitch myself for TED Talks, and as I prepare to build up this body of work in terms of leadership and leadership development, right? I know that having those extra credentials will position me to be paid more in the next 3 and 4 years than what I would get paid without it. I still get paid, I can still get paid great, but if I can get paid twice the amount, then why not? Right? Okay. So, anyway, going into the corporate space is new for me. So, if you watch my stories on Instagram, you know that I'm a Peloton person. I'm a Peloton girl. I've got the tread, I've got the bike, and I oftentimes share my workouts and things that I'm doing. So I was in one of the Peloton groups for Peloton members. And there was a young lady, there was a member in there that was just saying that, her business was struggling right now. She was looking for help. People were like, well, what do you do? Well, she's like, well, I'm a DEI consultant. I conduct trainings and workshops. She put her website. I looked over her website and I could immediately pinpoint, oh, this why you're not converting. These are some key reasons why you're not converting. But of course, I wouldn't consult her, but I looked on her site. But anyway, let me stick to the point. Underneath, right, the comment or underneath her post, there were people in the comments saying, oh, we do this, we hire people for this all the time. I'm in charge of learning and development at X, Y, and Z company. We bring trainers in for this and for that all the time. Shoot me your information. So I'm like, okay, I'm just lurking, right? But then I decided to shoot my shot. I said, listen, I tagged the person. I said, listen, is it okay if I DM you? She said, sure. So I DM'd her. I let her know. I'm like, listen, hey, my name is Jasmine Womack. I'm a former educator of 12 years. I started a consulting business in the online space, generated multi-millions of dollars, and I have had to learn everything from the ground up. I've had to learn hiring. I've had to learn team development, team building, training, right? I've had to learn sales, marketing, and we've built a pretty successful company and a profitable company over the years. Now I'm looking to go into the corporate space, but I'm unfamiliar with the corporate space. I come from education and now that I have experience in the online space, but I'm not familiar with the language that corporate uses. Do you mind if I ask you a few questions as I prepare to build my brand as a corporate trainer? She said, sure. Y'all, this is somebody, this is what she does. She hires talent to come in and train. She hires talent to come in and train. I would have been dumb not to reach out to her. So I'm asking her questions. Of course, I want to know, but even more so, I want to build the relationship, right? I'm not just going to pitch. I want to build a relationship. So this is my end because you already told me what you do. Does this make sense? So, but before I do anything, before I put any packages together, let me talk to somebody who's in charge of hiring talent, the person who helps to get people hired and paid. Let me talk to them to find out what they're looking for. Let me talk to them to find out what makes them choose certain trainers over other trainers. Let me talk to them to find out what topics they're looking for to hire people to come in and train. Because you think that that's the only company looking for that? No, I know that I'll be able, once I speak with her, I know I'll be able to find at least 100 other companies looking for this same thing. And when I put my I have packages, but when I fine tune my packages, I'll be able to fine tune my packages based on the information that I gained from from an interview with an ideal client. Instead of me putting packages together that's centered and focused around what I want to talk about and what I think is a good idea. Does this make sense? So I know that when I actually go full throttle into the corporate space, my conversions are going to be that much higher because I took the time to simply ask questions and interview, and then take that information to then develop my packages instead of creating packages based on what I think is a good idea. So when you want to build your business to multiple six figures, $500,000, $1 million, you have to solve problems. And you have to solve problems that people are willing to pay for. This means that whatever book that you write needs to solve a problem, and it needs to solve a problem that people are willing to pay for. Then whatever talks and workshops and coaching programs and consulting offers that you create as an extension of your book need to solve problems on a deeper level and provide people with a level of accountability and support that they are willing to pay for. But before you do anything, you need to have the competence. You need to have the experience, and you also need to be able to hear some things from you hear the perspectives of your ideal clients. And so, yes, in up leveling your sales skills, back to my point, this means that you need to conduct application based sales calls if you are working with clients, like one-on-one clients. It's a little bit different if you're, working with schools or corporations. You need to learn how to conduct sales calls or sales conversations or sales presentations. You need to know how to fill in the gaps. You need to understand how to handle or counter objections that people give you. This means you got to study. When somebody gives you an objection, that's not for you to say, okay, thank you so much, and for you to walk away. No, that's time for you to lean in and ask even more questions. And you also got to understand that if somebody says no right now, it doesn't mean no altogether. That's just preparing you for your next opportunity. That means that you need to have a documented sales system and nurturing and follow up process. Yes, all of these things matter when you want to turn your book into a $500,000 per year business that you can then grow and scale to millions and multi-millions. Now, is it work? Absolutely. I'm not the one that's going to sit here and tell you that everything is just going to come super easily, because I think that the internet has a habit of glamorizing business ownership and entrepreneurship, and people are not always honest with what's required, and they're not always honest with what the level of work that's going to go into it. Yes, you're going to have to think critically. You're going to have to go in and analyze and assess things. But is it work? Absolutely. Are you going to have to modify some of the things that you're currently doing? Absolutely. But can it be done successfully? Absolutely. I'm just not going to sit here and pull your coattail and tell you, oh, you can go to sleep, write a book, and then have a $500,000 per year business. No, there are going to be some things that you're going to have to learn how to do. There are going to be some things that you're going to have to do differently. There are going to be some things that might be a little challenging, but it's par for the course when you are growing and building your business. So here's the thing. If you have a $10,000 offer, whether it's a $10,000 talk or a $10,000 coaching program, when you have 50 enrollments into that program, you've made $500,000 per year. That's not even considering what you've made in book sales or in other avenues. Excuse me, other avenues. Now I have hiccups. You can have a $5,000 program. You bring in 100 enrollments, which is 25 enrollments per quarter, into a $5,000 program, and you make $500,000 from that one stream of income. So, turning your book, the more books that you sell, the more leads you have. The more books you sell, the more people in your system that you can follow up with. Now they're warm leads because they're aware of you, they're familiar with you, they're familiar with your work. And this is one of the reasons why I say that a book is the very, very best type of lead magnet that you can have, because it's going to turn a cold lead into a hot lead. Because once they read your book, they're going to be familiar with you, your thought process, your methodologies. And lots of times, people don't necessarily need help with the information. They need help and support with the implementation. They need accountability. They need a step by step process. You can only fit so much into the book, which is why you then have your offers where you take people step by step through the process, and you're there to support them and guide them and answer questions along the way. Okay. So listen, write a book that grows your brand workshop kicks off on Monday, July 15th. If you have not registered yet, you definitely want to make sure that you secure your spot. It's totally free. You can go to www.jasminewomack.com/book and brand. Okay. Now, if you're like, listen, I'm ready to work with you, Jasmine, then Published and Paid Live, our annual event is coming up where we're going to be diving into this over the course of 2 days and working through everything that I shared tonight in person in the room. So you can find out more about Published and Paid Live by going to publishedandpaidlive.com. All right. If you have any questions, feel free to drop a question in the comment section, or you can reach out to me on Instagram or LinkedIn, okay? At the Jasmine Womack, TheJasmineWomack. I'm very approachable. If you have questions, send me a message on Instagram or LinkedIn, and let's have a conversation. All right. Until next time, I'll see you guys soon. Thank you so much for tuning in.